Hello, welcome to season 2 of the Sacred Soul Sisters podcast. Oh my goodness, we are in 2026 and I have never been more ready for this year. Oh my gosh, the year of the fire horse. Well, welcome before we get too far ahead. Welcome to the Sacred Soul Sisters podcast, a sacred space created for awesome souls who have spent years caring, giving, leading, and holding it all together, and are now feeling the quiet call to return to themselves. However, that call may be just getting a little louder this year. I'm Justina. I'm a Reiki master teacher, healer, nurse for over 20 years, transformational speaker, retreat leader, workshop leader, and this podcast is an invitation to you to allow your inner soul to slow down, soften, receive, and remember who you are beneath those roles and responsibilities and expectations that you've been carrying, but also to ignite the fire within you, to remind you how awesome you are. I'm so happy you're here. So here we talk about real healing, not the bypassing kind, but the kind that meets you exactly where you are. We explore energy, spirituality, emotional release, nervous system regulation, divine support, and what it truly means to live in alignment with your soul while navigating this crazy real life, right? So you'll hear heartfelt conversations, intuitive teachings, gentle practices, and soul-led interviews. They're all designed to help you clear energetic blocks, reconnect with your inner wisdom, and reclaim your vitality without guilt or burnout. Right? Like we are done. We are done messing around. I am so fired up about this year of 2026, and I cannot wait to hang with you this year. So thank you so much for being here. This is the place where you don't have to have it all figured out, but it is the place where your strength is remembered, your light is reawakened. And if this resonates with you, I would love for you to follow the show. Please leave a review. It helps the message reach so many more individuals that need it at this time. You can also visit my website at angelreikijourney.com, scroll to the bottom, sign up for the newsletter to receive soulful updates, upcoming offers, gentle reminders that you are never alone in this path. Come connect with me on Instagram at Angel Reiki Journey and join the conversation, or you can find me on LinkedIn where I share reflections, teachings, and ways to bring this work into your life and leadership. You weren't ever meant to do this alone. You belong here. And I'm so glad you are here. So take a breath and welcome to the Sacred Soul Sisters podcast. Disclaimer, you should always check in with your physician, your psychiatrist, your counselor, or anyone else assisting in your care prior to deciding that you would like to take any of the recommendations, the suggestions, and our thoughts on any of the subjects that we discuss in the podcast. Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Sacred Soul Sisters. You guys, today I'm so excited. This is such a gift, especially for those who feel the pull to Reiki, whether you're brand new, deeply devoted, or quietly wondering, could this be part of my life's work? I am so crazy honored to be able to welcome Pam Allen LeBlanc, author, Reiki master teacher, international speaker, podcast host, and a true guide for those walking the Reiki path with intention and integrity. Pam is the author of the Reiki business book, Discover the Unique Reiki Career That Lights You Up. She's the host of Reiki from the Farm podcast, and she is a licensed Reiki master teacher with the International Center for Reiki Training with over 1,000 hours of additional training. You heard me right, 1,000 hours over. An MPA and decades of lived Reiki experience. Pam beautifully bridges the spiritual and the practical. Pam, welcome to the Sacred Soul Sisters podcast. I am so deeply, deeply grateful that you're here.
Thank you, Justina. It's such a pleasure to be here with you all and with you.
I was like, yeah, wait, what about now?
And with you.
I was so giddy and excited about you coming. I love your energy. I love your voice. I love the podcast. I love your intentions. It's just really great. So for our guests, the ones that, aren't familiar with you just yet, how did Reiki first come into your life? And do you remember the moment or the season when you first heard about it? And what was your reaction to first hearing about it?
The funny thing is, Justina, I'm a scientist. I work in science like you do. And when I first heard of Reiki, you know, I was curious, but also very skeptical. And it was one of my horseback riding students who was talking about her Reiki journey, and she was so excited. And I was excited for her, but I really didn't think it was something that was for me. But fast forward several months, and I developed health issues that the medical system couldn't help me with. I had rashes all over my face and
Oh,
neck, and sinus issues and eyes that ran into the rashes constantly. And so I really felt very miserable. And both the doctor sent me to the allergy specialist. The allergy specialist determined there was nothing that they could do. And I was really left without any other options when that same friend offered a Reiki session. And at that point, I thought I've nothing to lose.
now you'll accept.
Now I'll accept it. I would have
Right.
accepted almost anything at that point because I just wasn't able to get any relief. And
Sure.
I wasn't deathly ill, but I was incredibly uncomfortable and running my own businesses. And it was amazing. I wasn't instantly healed or anything like that, but all of the symptoms backed up a little bit. And this was in 2009. I distinctly remember it was the fall of 2009. And the symptoms backed up enough that I got the first full night's sleep I had had in months. And um, that felt really good. And I had some other things. I've always had digestive issues, and I had plantar fasciitis, and that all backed off a little. The thing that intrigued me the most was I'm a very type A personality. I always wonder if there's a type
I
A
get that.
plus. Do you get that?
I'm a
Yeah.
Virgo.
You're my husband is a Virgo. Okay. And I felt this like deep sense of peace and that everything was going to be all right.
Yes.
And I just went, what is that? I haven't experienced that before. I don't know what that is. I want more of that. So we went back and forth for about 6 months doing sessions. We traded 2 riding lessons for one Reiki
I
session.
love that.
Yeah. And then eventually, and my friend was a level 2 practitioner. She became level 3, but she couldn't teach. Um, and eventually I did find a teacher and learned it. And then when I did learn it, the issues went completely away. But my teacher did something really unique, Justina, which probably is what kind of led to all of the animal work that I've done. I've always been an animal person, and I had a horse business. I've been a professional horse instructor since I was 14 or 15 in
Wow.
the pony club at home. And so I had a horse business here, and I'd studied agricultural science. So I've always loved animals, but my teacher offered to attune my horses to Reiki in between level 1 and 2. And once they had an attunement, we just noticed such big differences in them
Mhm.
that it was incredible. And of course, it never occurred to me that, should you or shouldn't you do that? It's like, well, if she asked them if they wanted an attunement. Several of them did, and eventually all of them did.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it was just amazing. So Reiki has just been part of my life in the most profound way ever since.
I look at Reiki and sometimes refer to it, and probably this isn't the best way, but I feel like it's such a gateway drug. And it's not a drug, to be clear, but I feel like it is such a gateway. Like it opens
Yeah.
so many more opportunities. But I think something that I wasn't necessarily aware of when I first was attuned to Reiki, like 20 plus years ago, was how much Reiki would show me about myself and how many healing paths would start to open and give me the opportunity to heal. And some of them were challenging, for lack of better words, and really show me things that I needed to take a second look at. Like, is this just something that I picked up one time and I just have it going over and over in my head? So many different things. Did you find that when you were tuned?
Yes, I think that it can be really tempting. Like once you realize energy is real, it's so exciting. It's like, wait a minute, this
Yes.
is real.
Yes.
And this is really, this is really making a huge difference for me, for my horses, for my family, for my life. And then it can be very tempting to be like, I want to learn it all. And there are so many things.
Yeah.
But and I had friends that were like, and I want to learn this, and I want to learn this. And I for once, especially because of that type A personality, I so deeply trusted Reiki. I saw the impact it had on my horses, the impact it had on my family, the impact it had on my health. And I just said, you know what? I'm just going to let Reiki lead. And Reiki kind of cut through the noise for me and showed me that, you know what, you would really enjoy drumming and learning from a Native American elder, and you would really enjoy um, working with animal communication, and so we'll bring you down that road. And so it's been, you would enjoy writing, you would enjoy politics. I don't know if I enjoyed politics, but when I when I did step back and let Reiki lead, it did lead me a lot of places I didn't want to go. Like even the podcast. I love the podcast now, but I was so technologically challenged. I was like, what? You want me to do that? And I didn't even like the sound of my own voice. So I was right. And when Reiki recently said, um to run for the Green Party in both a provincial and a federal election, that was deeply exhausting. And I'm still not
Oh,
entirely clear why, but I know that in time,
mm-hmm.
um, it will become more and more clear. And so yes, it is a gateway. Absolutely, it brings you what you need, and that's what I think. And it brings you the different modalities and the different therapies that are helpful.
Which sometimes what you need isn't the first thing you're looking for, or it isn't maybe everything you want or you thought you wanted to start
Yeah,
with. But wow, when you follow it, it turns out way better than if you were the one running the show. I mean, it's so beautiful. But, we talked for a few minutes prior to recording, and I talked about how I argue with spirit sometimes and argue with the Reiki industry. And I'm like, wait, you want me to do what? Have you lost your mind? Like with the podcast, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm in my 40s. I am not in my 20s. I am not super cool. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, something they've been on me for probably a couple months now is getting a little microphone. And I keep
right.
telling them no, but I'm going to order the stupid microphone today. They've already let me know. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? I don't do this stuff. So, and the technical part is very challenging. There's a lot of things that, uh, you know, takes you being a willing participant in the process of healing. And because I think it's such an honor to be able to be in Reiki energy and to receive the attunements and to be able to give it. It's such a beautiful, beautiful thing. Yeah, Reiki has definitely introduced some things over the years. Do you feel like there has been, like, say, 15 years ago, could you imagine you running in politics?
No, not at all.
There's
And
such
I could not imagine that I would be making my living doing something that I love as deeply as Reiki. In fact, when I went to get my Reiki master's, I was really only trying to help a group of horses. that I knew needed an attunement to Reiki. And my teacher said, no, it's for you to do. I really wasn't interested in getting a master's because, Justina, I was very clear that I didn't want to teach people. And and the funny thing is I've taught thousands of people Reiki now, and I love every single minute of it. Just last night, I finished a month of just pretty much straight teaching. And, I will enjoy having a few days where I can do other
Absolutely.
things but I could turn around and teach again tomorrow if I was scheduled to. I absolutely love it. Having that, you talked about honor, and it's an honor just having that opportunity. Reiki so changes our lives, no matter where we are, no matter who we are, no matter what we're experiencing. It brings about such a huge shift, such a huge positive shift in our lives, that then having that opportunity to um, facilitate that for others and then get to witness their
Yes.
journey.
And they're
And
healing. Like,
I know, I know. It's
I,
amazing.
and I'm sure you've seen this too, but I mean, some people's physical appearance changes. The
Oh, yeah.
color, like the
Oh,
way they hold their face, like you're just
yeah.
like, whoa, what just happened to you? It's
That's what my husband said. He was quite skeptical about Reiki at first, but he was watching, I would teach classes over a weekend, a level one
Mhm.
and two class, and he watched one person walk in and a different person walk out. And he's just like,
Yes.
they look younger, they look lighter, they're more buoyant. You can feel it. And he just said he couldn't ignore
Can't
it
deny
after
it.
a
Yeah.
while. Yeah.
It's
But
so
I do want to circle back. You had said about arguing. I'm so happy to meet somebody that's like me. I pretty much always argue with my guidance that I receive.
yes.
And the only time I do remember, the only time I ever didn't argue was when I was in a Reiki class with William Rand, and the energy came in, and I just had, oddly, I've as a professional animal communicator, a professional horse trainer, a professional riding instructor, I work with a lot of animals in
Sure.
the course of a year, hundreds and hundreds of animals in the course of a year. And I'd attuned hundreds of animals and um, just things like that. And yet in 2016, probably maybe even thousands of animals at that point. And in 2016, it didn't occur to me that not everybody worked with that animals to that to that extent that I did. I just assumed everybody was attuning hundreds of animals and, having
Of course they are.
conversations,
Yes.
animal communication
Sure,
conversations, and
Pam. Sure.
training hundreds of horses. And I just assumed that, right? And I kind of had this realization like, wait, I've done more with animals than most people get to do. Isn't that interesting? And then I had that realization just before that class, like, oh, wait a minute, I guess I work with more animals than most people. And so then in the class, the energy was very clear. Would you write an animal Reiki course? And I
Mhm.
think that's the first time I ever didn't argue with my
Wow.
guide. I always laugh and say, I think everybody in heaven just paused for a minute and said, did she just say yes without arguing? for
Right. Yes. Amen. Thank goodness they're so patient because so often once I finally get to the point where I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
and they're just like, uh-huh.
I must say, I don't argue as much now because I know I'm just going to do it anyway.
I know.
But I will tell you in that very same class where I just said, yes, I will create animal Reiki. Later on, I was told, and you're supposed to do 1,000 hours of extra training to become a licensed teacher. And I went right back to the complaining and the whining and whinging and
Yes. Yes. It's incredible and it's so crazy. And I generally do it quietly, right? Like telepathically arguing, but once in a while,
yeah,
um I had a client and so a lot of mediumship stuff has opened up over the last probably 15 years in this process with Reiki, and a client's brother was coming through in the session. I didn't know that's who it was, but this client was, particularly, he was a big guy. He was in like bib overalls. He did not want to be there to begin with. And, you know, uh, not somebody I would want to upset, right? However, his brother is coming through and wants me to call him a mama's boy. And I'm like, no, no. So we have this telepathic conversation over and over and over and over. And finally I said, okay. And he was like, are you all right? Like, what is going on? And I said, listen, I have to tell you this, but I don't want to tell you this. And it is not from me, to be clear. It is from a man, and he's around your age, and da 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 da. I said, so here goes. And I said, turns out you're a mama's boy. And he busted out laughing, sat up, and he was like, oh my gosh, that's my brother. Like, and I was like, oh, thank God. I mean, I was just like, I don't know. I'm not even sure what I expected to happen, but I was not interested in doing that. However, it was such a turning point for him. And he was able to connect with his brother and know that his brother was with him, like, and of course, spirits just standing by, and just kind of like, oh, isn't that beautiful? If you wouldn't have said that, and and I'm just like, I hear you. But anyway, let's back up a minute before we get too far down this road. We may have to make this like 18 podcast episodes, but so Reiki, the word Reiki.
Yeah. Yes.
With someone that has no reference point at all. They've never heard of energy healing. They've never been involved in any type of spiritual realm of any kind. And they come to you and they're like, what is this Reiki thing you do? Like, what is that word? What is that? How would you describe that to them?
That's such a great question, because for years I would stutter and stammer and,
Yes, I still do sometimes.
right? And like, Reiki is so profound. It is spiritual, but not religious.
Right.
So where do you go with that? I actually, when I was writing the Reiki business book, it showed me like we need to all have, if you're working with Reiki, you need to have, there you go. You need to have like an elevator pitch, like just a generic thing that you say. So one of the ones I use a lot is I'll say Reiki is a Japanese form of stress reduction that often promotes healing. And then I usually add, would you like to give it a try? And, and if somebody says, well, yeah, like just turn around let me just is it okay if I place my hands on your shoulders? And once they feel it, then they're kind of like, whoa, what is that? But I really, there are so many things that you could say, and depending on the audience, you might say it's spiritually guided life force energy that promotes healing and wellness, or healing and relaxation, or something like that. And so many times, I invite Reiki to give me the discernment to know the language to use. So, like if I'm talking with a group of doctors or scientists, I don't talk about the spiritual side of things. I'll use terms more like wellness and relaxation and promotes healing. If I'm talking to people who are religious, I will say that this is spiritual and it works alongside of every religion.
Every religion, yes.
Yeah.
100%.
when I'm talking to university students, I talk about the stress reduction aspect and how it can help with studying and exams and that sort of thing, because Reiki is so versatile. It's so many things that I kind of have my stock, what I say, and then I gauge does the person want more, or
Right.
were they just being polite?
Right.
And if they were just being
Right.
polite, then it ends there.
Exactly.
Um, but when I say what it is,
Yes.
sometimes they want more, and then I'll usually go into like stories or just let them know, how much it's dramatically and profoundly changed my life, or the
Mine
life
too.
of my animals, or the life of my family, and so on.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. That's a great turning point too to talk about, speaking of stress, we're here in the US and I know in several places all over the world there's so much turmoil going on. I know you're in Canada. Uh, what can we use Reiki for that you feel like as far as trying to help us in those moments? And then I'll let you know something that came in the other day as well for me.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. I look forward to hearing that. First of all, I just want to say that I feel so deeply for my friends and cousins in the US. I grew up in a border town with one set of American grandparents and one set of Canadian grandparents. And
Mm.
so, and I have a lot of students who come from the US, and I often travel into the US. And so I do feel, because no matter what side of things you're on, things are really rough right now, and
Yeah,
and I know that.
so much.
And I think there's so many places that I could take this, but I think what I'm going to talk about is Reiki showed me how to not brace when I was working with horses, and
Oh,
yet how to hold without bracing. And the what's behind this is that when you're working with a 1,200-pound animal that has the fastest reaction time on the planet, and the human reaction time is
wow.
second slowest to the sloth. Um,
I didn't know that. Wow.
yes,
I didn't know
um,
that horses reacted that fast. Wow.
they do. They're not necessarily the fastest creature on the planet, but they have the fastest reaction time
Wow.
on the planet, is what I've been taught and told. And so when you are working with these animals, if I try to force them to do something,
Hmm.
we're just going to get into a battle. And who's going to win? Me or a 1,200-pound animal? The
I could
1,200
guess.
pound, the 1,200-pound animal is going to win. Yeah, absolutely. And so I saw a wonderful clinician, Mark Rashid, who just he taught us how we could drop the brace out of our body, and then just the horse has nothing to fight against.
Mm.
And so
Can
when
you
we're in,
repeat that one more time? He taught you how
yeah,
to.
he taught us how to drop the brace out of our body. And when we are no longer bracing, the horse just wants to do what we want them to do, and there's nothing for them to fight against. And it took me a bit of practice, but I will say that Reiki really helped me get very good at dropping the brace out of my body. And so you can think of like how many things happen in the course of the day that you're just like, ooh, and you get stressed about it,
Sure.
and it doesn't go the way that you think it should go or that you want it to go. And if you just pause for a minute, drop the brace into the ground, you can hold without bracing. And I
Mm.
had to do that a lot of times. I'll give you an example. There was a woman, attuning animals, I saw how amazing it was for my horses. I would do Reiki for horses that were here for training. And when they would go home, their human caregivers would reach out and say, they kind of slipped back a bit since they've got home. They were doing so much better at your house. We think it's the Reiki. And I said, great. So I sent Reiki through my Reiki grid at a distance to dozens of horses
Mhm.
after they went home, if at the request of their caregivers and the horses themselves. And and that was great, except for some days I would forget to send it. When I forgot to send it, I would get a half a dozen messages. Is there any chance you didn't send today?
Wow.
Yeah. So they could really feel like when the horses were getting Reiki and when they weren't. So I asked my teacher, would you attune them? And she said, no, it's for you to do. So I actually did my master's with the intention to only work with animals. Then I had the realization, wait a minute, humans are animals and I love animals, therefore I must love humans also. And that was true. And but I did attune those animals and I attuned hundreds of animals because I would have a Rottweiler who was becoming reactive. And it's one thing for a 10-pound dog to be reactive, it's another thing for a Rottweiler to be reactive. And I would go and meet with the Rottweiler. We did an attunement for the
Hmm.
Rottweiler, and actually the reactivity went completely away. He lived a full, complete life, and he has since passed, but he
Hmm.
lived a full, complete life. And he was 1 year old when he was becoming reactive, and I needed to attune him. So I witnessed um, lots of animals benefit tremendously from getting an attunement. But one day in a LinkedIn group, a very famous Reiki master went up one side of me and down the other. How dare you share something so sacred with an animal? They don't have the same level of consciousness that we did. Yeah, I know. That's what I did. Like,
Oh,
what? And
yeah.
it and it didn't feel very good. It really didn't. But I prayed. I connected with Reiki. I connected with God, and I whatever name you use, I like to use the word God for source energy. And I just said, God, why is this happening? And I heard, well, she's a woman who lives in New York City. She doesn't have a lot of animals. She doesn't have any animals. She's never had animals. She doesn't even have houseplants. Like she doesn't understand
To that. Yeah.
the natural world. And I understood like you have a degree in agricultural science. You are a horse trainer, you an animal communicator, you do understand animals. So it's okay for you to be the authority here, even though she may have more Reiki experience, you have more animal experience, and it's okay for you to be the authority. So I knew that I had to hold on behalf of the animals. But I also, our code of ethics um, states that we will work on our own prejudices and so on, and also have compassion if for people who decide not to do that. And we also, our code of ethics states that we will be respectful to all other Reiki practitioners. It doesn't say only if they're respectful to you. It didn't matter if this woman wasn't respectful to me, and I think she was trying to be respectful.
No, I
Um,
understand. Yeah.
but I knew I needed to hold for the animals and be respectful. So I dropped all the brace out of my body and I said, I agree with you. Um, and animals do have a different level of consciousness than humans. They're much more closely connected with source than we are. That's why every year my husband and I never know whether to put the snowblower on the tractor or not. And my horses know exactly how long to grow their hair, and the bees know exactly where to place their nests. So, uh,
Wow.
and so it was a way to like not be rude to her,
Right.
respect her opinion, even agree with her opinion,
Hmm.
but yet hold for the animals. So I don't know if that's a great example, but what I'm finding I'm doing now is I'm seeing things happen that really deeply, deeply disturb me in the world.
Yeah.
And around in different parts of the world, things that are deeply disturbing. And I've been involved with politics and have had politicians in my family. So I do sort of have a very, very good understanding, a very strong understanding of how that all works and how that all plays out. And so when I do see that deeply disturbing things, I try to drop the brace out of my body, but I'm also holding on to my humanity and I'm holding on to my own beliefs.
Yeah.
And I'm also going back to I am not helpless. I have Reiki. And one of the things that I can do, even though I can't come down to the States and hide people or do, the
Right.
things I would dearly love to do, I'm not in a position to do that, but I am in a position to hold on to my beliefs, hold on to my humanity, help wherever I can,
Yes.
and send Reiki to all of the people who are struggling, and recognizing that we're in a world of duality, um, where there's both love and fear or love and hate.
Yes.
And everything positive comes from love, everything negative comes from fear. Where do I want to focus? So I think it's helpful to have an awareness of what's happening and then to choose, okay, how do I approach this from a place of love? What can I do? I don't want to feel helpless. What
Right.
can I do that is helpful and loving? And sometimes it's only send Reiki. Other times there are other things that can be done. I know that I really I jumped into the political realm. Reiki suggested that I do that, and I definitely argued about that one.
Yeah.
um,
I feel some tension even like considering the thought of it. Yeah.
it was the hardest thing I've ever done. It
I,
really was,
I can't imagine.
and I think that we're used to, as Reiki practitioners, we're used to being in a space of integrity.
Yes.
And I found myself, like, whoa, really losing my footing because there really wasn't integrity
Right.
in the political, which is a shame. It's one of the
Well,
reasons I
sure.
would like to run because I would like to bring some integrity back
Sure.
into um,
Absolutely.
politics. But there really wasn't always there often wasn't integrity in what we were doing, and so it was kind of slippery, kind of a slippery place um, to be. But I really believe that there's a lot of room for leadership and better leadership. And I've really learned a lot about leadership watching my horses, watching my herd of horses, especially
Wow.
all of them, but especially Storm. Storm is the most incredible leader I've ever seen. And when people meet my horse, Storm,
Mm-hmm.
they he sees their potential. He sees their pure potential.
Oh,
And they're completely intimidated because they can see that he sees right into their soul,
and he
and
definitely has a presence that
he
they can
has
really
a
feel.
presence that they feel,
Mm.
and you want to live up to it.
Wow.
You want to live up. You don't want to disappoint this horse, and he's the most incredible horse because he has never ever been violent with another horse.
Wow.
The most aggressive thing that he has ever done with another horse is when there are a couple of geldings in my field that are little rascals, and they're constantly pestering the other horses. They're constantly pestering
Surely
him. And oh yeah, yes, they are. Merlin and Jasper, you know who you are.
not.
And the most aggressive thing I've ever seen him do was just back up toward them And they just went, oh, shoot, you know, just body posturing, just saying like, look, that's unacceptable. And he's never even cocked a foot. He never had to. They just skedaddled and behaved because of his presence. And so I've been working with a beautiful artist in Minnesota and another artist, and they're both Reiki practitioners that I've worked with.
Wow.
Um, a local and one in Minnesota, and we're working to create a leadership card deck to try to help people in leadership roles
Wow. That's
learn from these Reiki horses just what actual mature leadership looks like, and also what um, unhealthy, immature leadership looks like, and also what to do if you're in a space with unhealthy and leadership that might lack integrity, what to do in that
yes. Wow.
instance.
You
And
know,
so,
oh, sorry.
yeah, just sorry, there's so much about that.
No,
Just
you're okay. Yeah,
recognizing that duality and choosing love, and yeah, there's so much room for.
there's so much room to, I think my Virgo mind struggles with answering the question of what is Reiki so often because there's no boundaries on that
Right.
answer. Like it just goes on and on and on and on. Like there's so many pieces of it. But something I keep thinking about with Storm and something Spirit threw in was he's true sovereignty.
Yes.
And that
Yes.
is something that this world is calling for. And I feel like a lot of that is calling for all of us to step into that sovereignty, for 2026 and going forward. There's so much about standing in your true self. And I feel like I tell a lot of my Reiki students too that the more healing you do on yourself, the better world you make this,
Yes.
because you can carry a different frequency. Even if you don't even go do Reiki on another person, all of the healing you do on yourself matters, like not just to you. It's not just about what it does for you. It's such a beautiful thing that starts to happen. And I feel like that's something that, Reiki calls us to do when we're being attuned and when we're learning different levels and things like that. I think it's so important to check in with ourselves now and then, and kind of, hey, maybe this is something I need to look at, that kind of thing. And really kind of making sure we're always in integrity,
Yeah.
with everything that we do. But even with all of that, we are still human at this time. And even as Reiki practitioners, we have moments where stuff feels freaking heavy,
Yes.
or we have moments where we are mad.
Mhm.
I had someone say to me one time, "Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot you're all la 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 la. So I'm sure nothing ever bothers you." And I'm like, I don't know who told you that.
That is, I get very angry.
Yeah, we are not
Yeah.
exempt from those things. And
Mm.
the other day, in regards to this crazy world that we're living in, and I just realized I'm turning into my mom and talking with my hands a lot. Anyway,
I might be bringing that out in you.
thanks a lot, Pam. But I was really struggling. I was getting ready to record a
Mm.
podcast episode, and I always do kind of a prayer ahead of time. I do a little bit of self Reiki. I just kind of get in that good zone because I want to make sure that I'm available for whatever information needs to flow through me and all of those things. And I could not get there. And
Mhm.
I finally just told Spirit, Source, God, Buddha, whoever you call on. But I said, I can't get there. I am mad. I am furious with what is taking place. Like I'm so mad that like I want to, get on some social media video and just be like, you and you and you and stop doing this and you need to be nice to people, like scold everybody. Like I'm their parent. And Spirit just very calmly said, you know, I understand there is a lot going on. And even with doing the things that I was doing, I couldn't get my brain to slow down enough. There was just so many thoughts, so many feelings, so many emotions. And a lot of times, if you're in this role, you're an empath, right? So I'm also feeling the collective energy in relation to everything. And of course, I have clients that are experiencing the same thing. So I mean, it's literally everywhere. So Spirit said, you know what? It's okay. It's okay. You just don't have to record it right now. Worst case scenario, you miss a week. If that's the worst thing that happens, everything's still going to be okay. Just hang on a minute. And I'm like, okay. I can hear that. Okay, breathe. Like, because with my Virgo self, I like to get crap done, right? Like I have lots of things to check off on my list. And when I can't check it off on my list, it makes me very aggravated. And anyway, so then they came in and they said, you know what? We want you to listen to a Reiki master. And I'm like, I've listened to multiple Reiki masters. What the heck are you talking about? This is stupid, is what I felt like at the time. And they're like, no, listen. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And then right after that, you, Pam Allen LeBlanc, came in my mind, and Colleen Benelli came in my mind. You both have a podcast. Yours is Reiki from the Farm, and hers is Reiki Lifestyle, I believe. And I listened to half of one of your podcasts and half of one of hers. And while I was listening, Spirit said, I just want you to zoom in on the vibration and the sound of their voice. I don't care if you don't get anything else.
Mm.
And I didn't get anything else because there was lots of mind chatter going on. So I have to rewind again. But anyway, so I did that. And I was able to start not holding my breath, to breathe, to exhale, to know, to be reminded of how loved and supported we are, even in all of the chaos that we come in contact with. We have this greater universal love and compassion and support that is available to us to tune into. And I thought, how amazing is that? That even though I consciously have no idea what they were saying, and please tune into their podcast because they're amazing. But even though just from that vibration and frequency, I was able to calm my nervous system and come back in to being okay. So I appreciate what you do. And I am so grateful that you answer the call and that you continue to answer the calls that come to you. There has been some clients that have come to me and they have been to other Reiki practitioners where they had an experience that didn't feel comfortable, that felt like it was just off, right? And I'm glad that you said what you said earlier about that Reiki master coming over and saying it that way to you, right? Sometimes in situations, I feel like, again, we're all human, right?
Right.
And we never know what someone is going through at any moment. We also don't always know how much healing of their own that they've done. And sometimes, if you don't spend some time doing some healing and working on some challenges that you've had in your life, past traumas or judgments or anything like that, like the Code of Ethics talks about, uh, sometimes you don't see things through the same lens. So I try to let people know, just always check in with yourself for a minute before you go to see any type of practitioner, whether it's a Reiki practitioner, whether it's um, a doctor. Like, just check in for a minute. Does this feel good? Just saying that person's name, or this or that? Or do you know anybody that's talked to them before? Or do you know anybody that's had an appointment with them before? Just get a little bit of a feeling. I don't know. Do you ever recommend people just kind of checking in before they see anybody or?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And, people will say, I knew from your picture that you were the right Reiki practitioner for me, or I could tell from your voice, or, like there's an inner knowing. And it's not that there's even anything wrong with those other Reiki practitioners who just might not have been the right frequency or they might not have had the similar experiences to what you've had. And so there might be somebody who's a little better, a little better fit or a little better match. Yeah, I think that we know what we need in order to heal. And I notice, for instance, you talked about empath. That was the biggest part of my healing was figuring out how to be such a highly sensitive person and such a strong empath, and how to do that in a very healthy way. And so most of the students and clients who come to me are also highly sensitive people who are empathic. And then I'm able to help them. But if there's somebody who needs a different type of help, I might not be the best Reiki practitioner or teacher for them. And that's why I feel that all practitioners and all teachers from all lineages have value, because we all have the people that we were meant to help. And those people that felt uncomfortable somewhere else, they found their way to you. It's because they were meant to find their way to you. And
or vice versa. Like I've told them too, like if you don't feel like you resonate with me when you come, please don't let that be like, oh, I'm never going to do Reiki again. Please go find, another person or something.
I say a prayer asking that the students and clients who need me find me, because I don't want the ones that need you to find me. I want them to find you.
Right. Sure.
And I found that since I started saying, and I have a very distinctive teaching style, I have a storytelling teaching style, and my hands are going. And I don't do the PowerPoint. And as a rule, I cover the material in story, and so I don't want, and occasionally before I started saying the prayer, I would occasionally get students who just didn't resonate with that style. And there might be one student in a class of 10 that don't resonate, but it makes it a little less comfortable for the rest of them.
Mm-hmm.
And since I started doing that, I really feel that it has helped the right students and clients come to me. And I tell my master teachers, like, please don't send me your students. Please, if somebody comes and asks you to teach,
there's probably a reason you were called it. Yep.
They need you. They don't need me. Yep. And you'll give them my number. They'll never, or my contact information, unless you really don't want to teach them. If they're asking you to teach them, then please teach them.
I love that so much. Hello, friends. I wanted to jump on real quick and tell you about the Reiki Master Course that is coming April 17th, April 18th, and April 19th. That is in person from 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. That is a Friday, Saturday, Sunday in Highland at the Balance Wellness Studio. I am so excited for this, you guys. If you are ready for some serious healing, some serious activations, this is for you. The prerequisites are you have to be certified level 1 and certified level 2 Usui Holy Fire, or at least one of those versions, in order to sign up for the Reiki Master course. And you will go on my website on angelreikijourney.com. You'll scroll down to services. You'll find the Usui Holy Fire Reiki Master course. Click on that. It will just show April 17th. That's just how the site is set up. So you'll just click on that. And and register for that. If you need to do a payment plan or anything, please reach out to me via email and we can set something up. It would just have to be paid prior to the class. And then registration actually stops on April 6th. So if you have not registered by April 6th, I absolutely cannot add you in. There's a lot of different moving parts that go into this. So yeah, I'm so excited, you guys. This is going to be amazing. Also, make sure you sign up for the newsletter and watch me on Instagram because there is some cool workshops coming up that I would love for you to be a part of. And there will be some retreats, some different things going on too. So all kinds of exciting things. The Year of the Fire Horse is going crazy. Buckle up. Okay, everyone, I love you so much and have an awesome rest of your day. And let's get back to the episode. Okay. Thank you for taking that out. Okay, so you wrote the Reiki business book, Discover the Unique Reiki Career That Lights You Up. And I love that phrasing so much. What inspired you to write this book?
So I was in England in March of 2020, and a lot of you will remember March of 2020 who are listening. I was teaching a Reiki class there. Just before I went to teach the class, there were announcements made and borders closed and flights grounded and airports closed. And I decided to stay and teach the class and come home the Monday morning. It was a very small class. It was just my friend that was the host, actually, but he really needed Reiki. And I said, I won't get home on the weekend anyway. So I went on Monday morning to Heathrow Airport. And sure enough, there were people that hadn't got home, that had been trying all weekend to get home. But I was one of the first in line for customer service. I needed to get my flights changed because I had intended to stay longer for a holiday.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was waiting in line, and I was feeling very confident that I was going to get home that day or at some point, and that it was all going to work out. And I had people at home sending Reiki to me. And my husband was on FaceTime and he was freaking out. And he's like,
I bet.
how are you so calm right now? And I just said, oh, well, Reiki. I'm calm because of Reiki. And then I looked around and I realized, oh my gosh, I'm the only calm person in this airport right now. And there was just chaos all around me. And something came to my mind. I'd heard my friend and mentor, Colleen Benelli, I'd heard Shelley Kammermeyer, another licensed teacher with the ICRT, and I'd heard different licensed teachers say, my dream is for every family to have a Reiki practitioner in it. And I always, as a businesswoman and somebody with a scientific background, like my first instinct is to be skeptical. And I always would say, well, that's cute, but it's naive, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, right.
Right. And but I looked around that Heathrow airport and saw the chaos that I just was in my own bubble. I just hadn't noticed it until my husband was losing his mind. And I went, oh my gosh, they're right. I didn't have the context to understand a global pandemic. I realized for the first time, they're right. Every family needs a Reiki practitioner in it for times like these. And then I got instantly overwhelmed. I said, I'm just one teacher. What can I do about it? And I heard the energy say very clearly, you are just one teacher, but you have an MBA and you grew a company to be the fastest growing company in Atlantic Canada. You've signed multi-million-dollar contracts without blinking an eye. And you still had trouble bringing business and Reiki together.
Amen.
So, right. And the energy said, imagine people who didn't have it took me 9 years to figure out how to put basic
Oh, it's a
business
lot.
principles together with
Yeah.
Reiki. And I have an MBA, for heaven's sakes, and experience in international business, but I I still struggled with it. And the energy said, if you struggled that much, imagine what somebody who doesn't have an MBA and who doesn't have all your business experience, imagine what they feel trying to put Reiki and business together. And I went, oh my gosh, you're right. And then the energy said, and furthermore, you've done over 1,000 extra hours of training to become a licensed teacher with the ICRT. You are a leader you're recognized as a leader in your field. So you are to teach the teachers. And I thought, that's absolutely right. I came home, I created a course called the Reiki Master Mentor course. I opened it to 20 people, but I wound up letting 24 sign up. And so I taught 24 people over 18 months, like in 3 6-month sessions,
Mhm.
how to get different aspects of their business going. And like you, Justina, I just, whenever I'm speaking in a podcast, in a course, in anything, I just say, God,
Yes.
Spirit Source, there's my voice box. You know what people need. Let it flow through me. And as I'm doing this, the very first session, I said, oh, we're going to write a book about this and help hundreds of more people with their Reiki businesses. And in the end, it has sold thousands of copies. And I hear from people all the time that say that it feels like they are sitting across the table from me. And I deliberately tried to use that language when I wrote it. That being said, I do go back and read portions of it, and I was like, "This is really good. I wonder who wrote
I
this."
know. I do that on the podcast sometimes. I'll get it and I always try to re-review it before I release it, and I'm like, whoa,
Oh.
I should probably do that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, hello, that's your own voice.
Well, that was the inspiration behind the book, and I'm so grateful that I've witnessed a lot of people, I love receiving messages from people like, you helped me get my business started. I've taught 20 people now. I've taught 200 people now. I've taught, what I see this many clients every week, or however, or maybe I wasn't guided to use Reiki in it was very clear that everybody's business is meant to be unique, and
Mm,
maybe they say, I wasn't meant to do sessions and classes, but instead I'm using Reiki in my art, or I'm using Reiki in my law practice, or I'm using Reiki in my medical practice or holistic practice. And anyway, I'm just so grateful because I know more Reiki is on the planet. And you said earlier, and you're absolutely right, that even if we simply do Reiki and just use it for ourselves, we are raising the vibration of the planet. So every little bit of Reiki that gets out there is raising the vibration of the planet. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful my podcast was able to help you when
oh,
you were struggling. And then think to yourself, how many people is your podcast helping
mm,
when they are
gonna make
struggling,
me
right?
emotional.
And you're there for them. So thank you.
Wow. Yeah, it is. For the first 15 years that I did Reiki, I never charged because I could not get past the thought of, that would be infringing on someone. I'm doing what I feel like I'm supposed to do. And I'm, we're supposed to help people and we're supposed to this. Um, and, and a few times, well, probably more than a few times, Spirit's reminding me, would be like, yes, 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 but you also have to pay your bills. You also have to function in this world. And for some people, sometimes and I don't want this to sound wrong, but sometimes they don't understand the sacredness of it when you don't allow them to give you an energy exchange for it. And, so I was offered times, of being paid for it over those first 15 years. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, no, 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 no. That's not what a nice person does, right? Like you don't ever accept anything. That's against the rules. Um, so receiving has been something that I've struggled with for a long time. And just in the last 5 years has the importance of that started to come through. I and they brought me back to a story, and now they're gonna make me tell it. I'll do it quick. Sorry, because I want this to be about you. But I was in a nursing rotation in a psychiatric hospital, and it was a adolescent unit. There was a young girl that had been trafficked through from her parents to neighbors, friends of the parents. She was 15, and this had been going on since she was 6. And that is a horrid story. But she had this bracelet on her hand, and it was, or on her wrist, and it was like a plastic bracelet. A lot of little pieces were broken or had fallen off. And then she had the clothes that were on her back. And I sat down and talked with her for a long time. I'm going to cry.
Mm.
And I had given her Reiki, not her energy field Reiki, I should say, because I didn't want, her to, anyway. And when I left that day, she stopped me before I went out the door and she said, I really want you to have this bracelet. And it was the only thing she had, like I still have that bracelet in a box. And Spirit has reminded me multiple times over the years that had I not took that bracelet, which I wasn't supposed to be clear, but I felt in my heart and soul I could not take it at that moment because I could feel her heart just expanding and feeling like someone gave a crap about her.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been really hard for her.
Yes.
And that it's okay to receive. And especially like in that circumstance, it was so needed at that time. So I did not plan on telling you that story, but
Beautiful.
the point of all of that is that it is okay to do Reiki as a business. It is okay to accept income. It is okay to have to do those evil spreadsheets. It is okay to learn the business aspect of it, and it is so needed. I got your book and it's all bent up already and written in and highlighted and everything because I have went back. I don't have a business background. I have taken business courses before and learning a lot of things, but what is so special about this book is it comes from someone that understands Reiki as well and understands the sacredness of what we get to be a part of, and that it can exist in that world and it doesn't have to feel gross and icky. And because the word business, I think for not only me, for a lot of people in this world, sometimes it's just hard to even get out. So I'm so grateful that you wrote this book. And I will be also recommending it to my Reiki students as well. And I think it's just so beneficial. So thank you for doing that. So I want to make sure we don't get off here without mentioning your Reiki from the Farm podcast. How long ago did they let you know about that you were going to do that?
Do a podcast. I feel like I started that in 2020. Isn't that funny? There's over 201 episodes now.
You're kidding. Wow, that's wonderful.
I am not. And I love that it has a There'll be 202 today. I love that it has like a search feature that you can search with it. But yeah, like I think it was 2020 that it was, and it was the fall equinox. I promised people I would have it out that day, and it was like 3 in the morning, and I still didn't have it
Oh
quite
my
figured out.
gosh.
So I released the introduction on that day, which was just like just a very brief, like, this is what's coming. And at some point the following day, I think I finally figured out the last of it, and so that I could get that first podcast up there. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's become just a labor of love, and I really am so grateful to have been able to do that. When did you start your podcast?
It was in April of this year, I think.
Okay,
Yeah, they were
wonderful.
just like they kept telling me it was coming, and I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then they were like, okay, we have a date now, and I'm like, no, that's kept trying to put them off, but that didn't work real well either. Um, but yeah, it's been.
You know what I do is I tell people, and then once I've promised it, it's like, oh shoot, I have to do it now.
I figured out that's what they were doing because that's exactly what I did. And right as it came out of my mouth, I said, "Oh crap!" It's just like I didn't mean for that to come out.
Oh, it's such a fun thing though. And I did do it weekly for the longest time. Now I do it about I release an episode every 2 weeks about, and
Mhm.
sometimes weekly, just depending if I'm teaching a lot or but it's yeah, it was a great learning experience. I learned a lot, and I'm so excited about all the people I get to talk with and learn from. And
Yes.
I saw this vision that I think I would like to share with you, Justina, that
Yeah.
if God or source or spirit, whatever name that you use, is this enormous ball of light, each of us can only see it from our own perspective, our own vantage point. But the more people that we bring onto our podcasts, then that gives us access to their vantage point and theirs and theirs and theirs. And so we get to know more of the totality of source that way. And that was the inspiration for my podcast
I
and
love
yours.
so much. Wow. That's incredible. I do want to briefly mention too with the animal Reiki and the animal communication courses that you teach, and I don't know, Spirit keeps kind of nudging me about this. I feel like even if you're not an animal person, so to speak, that
Right.
there's a lot we can learn from them. And like I look at my dogs for an instance, and the amount of unconditional love so often that you can feel from an animal, um, I feel like is something a lot of us humans could take note from. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Something, I do have people all the time that say, I was guided to your class, but I'm not really an animal person. And I tell them that's all right. And we realize as the course goes through that, like, animal Reiki really returns us to our sense of childlike wonder. It
Uh,
helps us recognize that we are beautiful, not destructive, but when we identify with being destructive, we create our life that way. So it helps us start creating our lives from beauty, and it brings this really deep sense of belonging. And it also brings efficiency. A lot of people maybe have a practice with humans, and it brings a lot of efficiency and new tools and energies into their sessions. So usually in the course of it, they're like, oh, I see why I was told to come now. And with the animal communication, it's a little different. So we learn to communicate with animals, but it's also the same, you and I have both been saying in this podcast, like, I was told this, I heard that. This is the same pathway that we use for animal communication. It also allows us to speak with the energy itself, our spirit guides, source energy. and all of it. So people have said this could actually be called an intuitive development class. So I said, well, it could, but it's focused on animals.
And when spirit tells me to change it, I will. But for now, we're going to go with. I love that.
You'll be the first one to hear it. I'm currently working on my next book, and I just got guidance for it last week, that it will be called The Accidental Animal Communicator, because Reiki opened that up for me. So
I love that. I was an accident animal communicator. We'll talk about that another time, but that's so perfect. That's so perfect. Oh my gosh. So finally, before we tell people where they can find you, for the Sacred Soul Sister listening right now, our Sacred Soul Mister, feeling the nudge towards Reiki, whether it's personally or professionally, what loving guidance would you offer for them?
Gosh, just if you are feeling a nudge, then I think that's your spirit, your soul that is recognizing something that will be very beneficial for you. We all come to ourselves. We all find ourselves in different ways. But Reiki can be so unique, and it can work directly with each one of us in a way that is exactly right for us. And it just will never steer you wrong. So follow your guidance, follow your intuition, find the right person for you. Do a little research, but beyond the research, really trust yourself. Trust your guidance. You know what you need. Your body, your mind, your soul, your spirit, your emotions. You know what is going to help you, what you need. And for those of us who have stepped into the Reiki journey, we often say there's life before Reiki and life after Reiki, and they don't look the same, do they? And
Amen.
It's so positive.
It's incredible. It really is a whole new world. Okay, breaking me into song. That's something that they do sometimes too. It's terrible.
Anyway, must be clairaudient. They do that for clairaudience.
So how can they reach you if they'd like to reach out to you?
Oh, God. I would love that. You can reach out to my website, reikifromthefarm.com. I have my book website for the Reiki business book is pamallenleblanc.love. Okay. And you can email me, pam@reikifromthefarm.com. You can check out my podcast. And yeah, I think that, or Instagram, Facebook, all of the things.
Absolutely. And I will have links in the show notes too for everybody. So Pam, thank you so much for your wisdom, your grounded presence, the way you so beautifully honor Reiki as both a sacred practice and a living path. Sacred Soul Sisters, all of Pam's links, like I said, will be in the show notes. Please go and explore. Please listen to Reiki from the farm. I'm sure it will connect with your heart and feel into what's lighting up for you. Until next time, remember, you are so supported, you are so guided, and you are never, ever walking this path alone. I'm sending you the biggest hugs. Have a beautiful week, friends. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Christina. Hi, everyone.
Hi, before you go, hey, I just want to say thank you again. I'm so grateful you're here. Thank you for sharing this space with me today. And I hope that you can feel the sense of community. Every time you listen to one of these episodes, you're in community with not only me, but everybody else that's listening too. And in that beautiful frequency that's created, we get to have our hearts infused with the love and peace and the hope that we have for each other. So thank you so much for that. So as you move back into your day, I invite you to take a moment, just soften your shoulders, breathe into your heart, and notice what shifted for you in this conversation. How do you feel? I hope amazing. And if this episode resonated, please follow the Sacred Soul Sisters podcast. Take a minute to leave a review. Your words help this healing ripple reach other beautiful souls who are quietly longing for support, remembrance, and community. And stay connected. You can visit my website, angelreikijourney.com. You can book an Angel Reiki session there. You can see some of the other events that we have going on. And if you scroll to the bottom, sign up for the newsletter where I share soulful reflections, upcoming offers, and gentle invitations to reconnect with yourself. You can also find me on Instagram at Angel Reiki Journey for inspiration. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm over there too. And remember, you don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to carry all this alone. You are deeply supported. You are divinely guided, and you are worthy of ease and joy and magnetizing moments in your life. And I'm so excited for that. Until we meet again, take care of your beautiful heart and know that it's okay to choose yourself. It's okay to offer self-love to yourself, and it's okay to receive the love and abundance this universe wants to give you. So I will see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.